All right, everybody, welcome to the Monday episode of Locked On Avalanche. On today's episode, that new goalie that we got, Alexander Georgiev, he has signed a deal. Jacob McDonald, one of my favorites, he has signed a deal. So we'll talk about those two things. We're going to kind of dip into our inner GM. And if we could guess the deals for Nathan MacKinnon or his extension for Nathan MacKinnon and the restricted free agent deals for Val Nichushkin and Arturri Lehkonen, what would they be? What would we want them to see them be in terms of dollar amount and years and term? And then we have two grades to get to the way the week went. We have Bowen Byram and Andrew Cogliano grades that we feel they deserve. And of course, the people of social media. So let's do this thing. I really hope we get through this episode with no issues because we are starting about an hour and a half later than we normally do because computers. But anyway, welcome to Locked On Avalanche, everybody, part of the Locked On Avalanche or Locked On Podcast Network. There we go. Your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Be sure to follow us on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. And a quick note, this will likely be our only full episode for this week. We're taking a bit of a vacation week. And I know there is, free agency is starting up. That doesn't mean we're just going to be silent. Those social medias that I threw out, definitely follow us on there. If any big signings come up, we will do kind of like short videos to put up and probably put up on our YouTube channel. But as far as our official half-hour long podcasts, this will likely be the only one of the week. Maybe over the weekend. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we needed some time off. This was a long season for the Avs, and you and I obviously ended the way we wanted it to, but we need some time.
This has nothing to do with our goalie fight at all. We are still best friends.
Yeah. Well, in a way, we're on the same side with this.
Yeah.
Because, the way that Joe, the last show we did, since then, Sakic has come out and said, like, Georgiev's our guy. And I think that took me back a little bit. Like, oh, okay. Because I was thinking there's going to be a quarterback controversy here. And I still think that's happening. Don't get me wrong. I still think Pavel Francouz is in the mix as much as he will be, come preseason. And I just feel like that was a way that Joe Sakic kind of maybe just lit the fire under Pavel Francouz. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that, a backup is going to come in and immediately just be handed the keys when you have Pavel Francouz, who like you say all the time, give him a chance, give him a shot. And for him to not be given a shot against a guy that you bring in that's a backup, I think is a little bit of a slap in the face to Pavel Francouz, if you ask me.
Oh, I'm going to be on this give Frankie a shot all year long until he is given the chance. Like, if this is your way of firing up Frankie, so be it. But this is, I don't see this going through training camp.
What do you mean? Like, you think it's going to be Francouz's job by the end of training camp, or what do you mean by that?
Like, I don't see how, as great as Georgiev is, I don't see how he gets the nod over Frankie. I don't care what the contract looks like. I don't care body of work. Yeah, granted, Georgiev has seen more ice time than Frankie. This is Frankie's time to go, and I just, if it's maybe midway through preseason, I I'll go out on a limb and say this is Frankie's job by Christmas.
I don't know. Like, I'm totally up in the air with it. I fully believe this is going into training camp, and nobody is named the starter. Joe Sakic can say what he wants to say, and maybe he feels that way now. but I don't know. I feel like this is going to be touch and go, and I don't think it's whoever wins it. And if it is Georgiev, I think he's going to be the starter unless he completely falls totally flat on his face. I don't know. I just, the Avs have a good enough team, or whoever is in that goal, and we've talked about this so many times in the past, will look pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think, say Georgiev does win it, I don't feel like they would pull the plug on him by Christmas time. This is if he does win it, brand new goalie, brand new city. He's going to need some time to really feel out this whole system and this team. So if they name him starter, he's starter for quite a while, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was surprised that he even entertained that and came right out and said, "Yo, oh yeah, he's my starter." Like I would have never
I was
even said
surprised.
we were having a starter. Like I would have
Yeah,
given the implication that I'm going 41 and 41 with both these goalies, and that's how I'm filling out my 82 game season.
yeah, yeah. I was a little surprised by that. So, and like I said, he can say what he wants to say, and he's Joe Sakic. He's a GM. Like you'd have to take that at the value that it is. I don't know. I just feel it's going to be different by the time we get to training camp. But they did sign him.
Mm.
That was big. They needed to, they traded for him. He was a restricted free agent, and you knew a deal was going to get done. I don't think they would have made the deal if they weren't confident that they could get a deal, and they did. We were kind of guessing. I was guessing 2 or 3 years, leaning more towards the 3 year. Why would you just do it a 2 year deal? Um, and I was thinking more in the 2.5 to 3 million range. Well, he got the 3 years for 3.4 AAV. To me, it's a little bit too. I would have went three tops. So for
Yeah.
me, about $400,000 too much per year for him. And he hasn't shown anything. He has so. First of all, what's your thoughts on the deal? Are you okay with the dollar amount?
No. Um, I feel like it's a little much. And it's weird for all of the like kicking DK out the door. That was going to be what, 5 or 6?
Uh, minimally, I would think minimally six. I don't think he was going to come back for anything less than that. If you ask me, 5.5 at the bare minimum.
And like even if 5.5 at the bare minimum for a man that won you the cup and is technically proven for this system, you're not going to pay that, but you're going to just a touch overpay. I mean, 400,000, it is what it is. I mean, but
Yeah,
the cap's tight. So
right.
400,000 for an unproven, that was a little head scratching, especially when you have a laundry list of UFAs that you need to address. Um,
You
Interesting.
do. Um, so you have three, or excuse me, 5.4 wrapped up in your goalies. On the surface,
That's
that's really good.
Yeah,
That
I was
is
about to say that's not bad.
no, that is, and if this works out, you know, this is up there with those moves that Joe Sakic has pulled
Mhm.
off over his tenure as GM. It is. We're not going to be able to say that for a couple years. Even after 1 year, I don't even know if you can say, that it's time to throw in the towel on him. You'll get a better grip of how he plays in this system as far as Georgiev goes, but you're not going to be able to make that comment. Maybe after 2 years, you could say this is because they're going to have this for the next 2 years. Because isn't let me bring up Francois. He's got 2 years left as well. So if this works, if we're feeling good about this in year one, this is like Nathan MacKinnon current contract where you're
Yeah.
going into year two where you have a great tandem if it works out that way. And man, like this, like I said, this is up there with the Duchesne deal and the Devon Taves deal if it
And
works out. But in my opinion, that's a big if. But I will continue to give Joe Sakic the benefit of the doubt.
yeah, NHL serviceable goaltending for less than you would pay for your run of the mill forward. Way to go, Joe Sakic.
And I read an article in the hockey news about how the goalie position is kind of changing, and it kind of changed my mind a little bit on how I feel like Joe Sakic approached this. And it went into like detail about how last year more goalies were used
Mhm.
than ever before in any season. And most goalies used an average of 4 goalies per team. And there were a couple goalies, and God, I can't remember, or there were a couple teams who used like 7, and that was last season. So there was only 2 teams that used 2 goalies all year long. Everybody else used like 4 or 5.
Tampa used
So
1.
yeah, well, I think they were one of the teams that used 2, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But it kind of made me feel like, okay, like this is kind of like those analytics darlings who look into this stuff, and maybe you don't want to overpay. Maybe this is why you don't overpay, because
Yeah.
the person that you're paying for likely is not going to play as much as you want them to play.
Yeah.
You want your A1 goalie to play 55, 60 games. And the way the league is right now, it's just not happening. So I think maybe Joe Sakic looks at stuff like that and says, why pay over? Like, I'll go to a certain dollar amount. And I'm
Yeah.
a little bit I'm a little bit confused why they didn't go like the Husso route. What do you do? Like 4.75?
Yeah.
And the Avs are kind of like saying, we're not even going to go that far. Maybe they're onto something new here that I have not really been paying too much attention to. But man, if this works, you're going to see it's a copycat league.
Yeah.
More people are going to do this.
I feel sorry
So
for the goalies.
yeah, no, it's just it is. I mean, it really opened my eyes to like. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like it's a tandem league now. But when
Mhm.
you saw the numbers that the Hockey News article was throwing out there, you're like, wow, it really is changing. It really the hockey or the excuse me the goalie position really is changing. So, and we also had Jacob McDonald have a new contract, and for me, like you just love to see that guy. I would love to see him come back training
Oh,
camp
yeah.
healthy after that brutal hit that he took. He it's not a earth shattering contract that he got. What was it? Like 700,000.
764,000, 21
Some
cents,
yeah.
2 pogs, and a surge.
Yeah, $760,500 to be specific, but I love this guy. His work
Yeah.
ethic is like unmatched. Could be one of those guys that sneaks in after training camp and has that like third pairing. Why not? We don't know what's going to happen with Jack Johnson. We
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen with Ryan Murray. There could be an opening for him to take on a third pairing.
And he could play forward too. Um,
He's
like
done it. Yep.
like, you can't make a convincing argument where he cannot fill in that role of Abe Kubel. Like, if the defensive pairs match up in a certain way, like, with the skill set that McDonald has, you can't tell me that he can't fit on that 4th line, with
No.
especially
He
with the
could.
production that we've seen at times on that 4th line. Um, yeah, I definitely feel like this could be like I've been championing, Frankie a lot.
Yeah.
I'm on board with you. This should be McDonald's
Love
year.
him. Love him. He's utility man.
Yeah.
And he'll do anything you ask him to do. So really looking forward to him to be back at training camp. And I'm happy that they brought him back at least for another couple of years anyway. So, all right, we're going to hear from Athletic Greens. Haven't heard from Athletic Greens in a while. And then Kyle and I are going to put our GM hats on. And what deals would we offer to Nichushkin, MacKinnon, and Lehkonen? But first, Athletic Greens. And if you've ever been experiencing some gut health, or you just want more energy, or you want to optimize your immune system, look into Athletic Greens. Kyle and I, we've been taking it for a little while.
Mhm.
I got to re-up on mine. It's been a little while, and I'm glad that we're doing this read right now, because it's like now's the time to really kind of like look at your gut health as you're going into kind of like the depth of summer and barbecues
And the
and
pool.
and you want that pool body. Yeah. So what is Athletic Greens? It's one delicious scoop into a morning glass of water, and you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, and probiotics to help you start your day right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, everything. It's delicious tasting too, and it has
Mhm.
that green look to it, almost like grass. If you just blended up grass, but it tastes nothing like that. It's actually kind of fruity. I
Yeah,
enjoy the taste of this stuff. It's actually very
I do too.
surprisingly good. And Athletic Greens, it was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him over $100 a day. So he created Athletic Greens when he found out how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. Athletic Greens will cost you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your coffee and cold brew habit. Right now is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a morning glass of water every day, and that is it. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Once again, it's athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So we might be seeing some deals come in, maybe fast and furious this week, with the free agency market opening up to everybody on Wednesday. And there's ones that we're keeping our eyes on. Clearly, we hear you hear some grumblings around this time about agents and GMs talking, and sometimes deals get done, and sometimes they bleed over into free agency. When that happens, panic mode sets in. When
Mhm.
when they become available to everybody, it happened last year with Gabe Landeskog, and
Or
it,
the Mikko Rantanen deal. I remember that one
that
vividly.
one
That
took
went
a
into training
while.
camp.
Yeah, that went into training. That one did take a long time. But for this year, you're hearing stuff like the Avs and Val Nichushkin are talking. And when you hear that, you're like, well, just keep talking until something. Don't
Yeah.
leave the room.
Yeah, don't
Lock your
stop.
lock yourselves in the room and just get it done. But it doesn't work that way. So we figured, the three guys that we're kind of looking at with Nathan MacKinnon, Val Nichushkin, and Arturri Lehkonen, what would we offer them? Because the cap is a very real thing for the Avs. It's something that, and Joe Sakic said it again. I think it might be a light free agency period for the Avs. I think they're going to try to re-sign the guys that they have. If they do, they're done.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really going to bring in a ton of guys. Maybe those depth pieces. That's really all they have the money for. So let's kind of get, and obviously the Nathan MacKinnon one is an extension that doesn't count for this year's cap. He's doing the 6.2 or 6.3, whatever he's got this year. That is what it is. So whatever we come up with for Nathan MacKinnon, that doesn't go into effect until next year. So why don't we start there? If we were gonna offer Nathan MacKinnon an extension, which again is another thing that they said they are working on, what would it be? And I will preface this by saying our good friend Lothar has sent me an email, and he was asking me. He's like, what do you think? Where would they go with this? Would they go as high as Connor McDavid and even Austin Matthews territory, or would he? You got to figure he's going to get at least 10. But what do you think it's going to be? Term and dollar amount.
For Nathan MacKinnon, honestly, like, what is his age right now?
He's
I
20. I think he's 27. Let me see. Nathan MacKinnon is 26 right now. But his birthday, I don't know when his birthday is. Let me see. September 1st. So that's why he's an unrestricted, because he's going into his 27th year. So yeah.
Would it be wrong of me to say, for Nathan MacKinnon, does he not feel like an 11? Like an 11? I know the long deals are way out of the way, but if we were in like the mid 2010s, this would be a 11 for 10. It feels like that.
You mean like for a term?
Oh yeah.
Like he like a 15-year contract?
I would not go
Uh
Minnesota levels of like
yeah.
giving a Suter Parise deal, but
Like a
like you
DiPietro
definitely
deal.
like
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like this
Yeah.
he would definitely field a I would say
I
11 for 8.
would. I think this is a slam dunk 8-year deal. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing less than that coming. Um, as far as the dollar amount, yeah, I don't think they're gonna go McDavid style because that's kind of hamstringing that team. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, and I say that also kind of like predicting. I think the Avs are gonna go 8 years, like $11 million per.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
yeah, I don't, that extra million and a half that goes to McDavid is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that really kind of hamstrings that team. I know I still have in the back of my mind that Nathan MacKinnon still said he would take less a couple years ago when he's talking about his contract and he was honest. He was like, that's what I was worth when I signed that contract or this
11 is
contract.
less.
What do you mean?
That's how you justify that deal. 11 would be
Oh,
less.
11 is less. Oh,
That's a
that,
discount.
yeah, well, like
Like,
considering, I mean, I don't
let's
know.
what's he doing now? 6 point?
I think it's
Like
6.2, 6.2 or 6.3,
he did
6.3.
everything we asked of him, and he did everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all the check marks were there. He took that discount. He took that nice deal. He got us a cup. Um, like to say, okay, thank you. Let's double you and put you right back to where you deserve to be. And
Mm-hmm.
then he said, "Hey, I said I'd take a discount. I love this team. I want to keep it together. Let's scale it down to 11."
I mean, I get what you're saying with that. But what I'm thinking when he says something like that is like less than 10. That would be a discount for me. That would be a discount.
And
11 is up there with the best. There's only a few
if
guys that are making that much.
but the thing is with going 8, like we even flirted with 10 years. Like 8
Well, he can't
years.
do that. He can't
Well,
he can't
this
do 10.
is no, yeah, but even like the 8, this will put him to, I mean, he's
Mhm.
going to be up there. This is going to be his bank contract.
Yeah, this always is. Yeah. This is
So
where they make their money. So, I mean,
I wouldn't
let let
think he would go that far back as a discount.
no, I don't think he's looking at it as 11 is a discount for you guys. I think he's looking at 11 would be kind of like a sweet spot for me. That's where I think he's feeling like he deserves anything more than 10 and up.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. Like 11, yes, is a discount, but in the cap era, no, it's not. That's where he should be. Discount, like I said, to me is uh well, the same exact thing that he's making now is a discount.
If
Gabe
he walks out of
Landeskog
there,
money is it?
yeah, if he
Here's
makes as
here's
much as
here.
Miko,
That's what I was just gonna say. If you're matching him or lower than anybody else on this team, that is a discount. If he's anything other than the highest paid player on this team, you are still getting Nathan MacKinnon as a discount.
yeah.
That's how I'll phrase that. But I do. I think it's going to be 8 years at like 11. Um, you know, easy. That's a
And
lot. That's a lot of money. He's worth
I
it.
will
He's worth it.
exactly. He is worth every penny, and I will sleep at peace with that contract.
Yeah, you got him locked up for 8 years. So we'll see where that goes. What about we'll do Val Nichushkin. Where do you think they're heading with Nuke?
He feels, I don't know. I'm trying so hard not to overinflate him.
Mm-hmm.
He just feels like a 6.
I think 6 on the high end is that's like the max for him would be my guess.
Yeah.
Um, I do feel like somebody else maybe would give him a little bit more than that. Maybe like 6.5 if there's like a desperate team out there just loves his size and what he can do. Maybe there's a team that's in a good cap situation where they can overpay for him by a little bit. By a little bit, I mean like 6.5 at the absolute max. I think he's going in between 5 and 6. He did, I think it was 2.5 last year. So you go 5. I mean, you're doubling him. So I kind of feel like the interesting thing that I'm looking forward to here is term. What are they going to give him in term? Like I don't feel a 7-year deal coming for Val Nichushkin. I just don't feel that. I feel like they're good on money. I kind of feel like this is going to be as low. I can't go. I think it's going to be like a 4 or 5 year deal for him. I
See,
think like 4 or 5 for like 5.3 or something like that, to be just random with the number. Because I as well as he's played, I don't think like he's done it more recently than
mhm.
ever before. And we all love the guy and we love how he plays, but I don't think the Avs are at the point where it's like, oh, we're going to give you Avs are just going to hand out 8-year deals like they're candy. They're not going to do that. So for him, I think it's like, okay, we love what you've done for us, but it is a shorter sample size. So because of that, I feel like they go kind of like middle of the road. They're not going to go like 2 or 3 years and they're not going to go 7 or 8. I feel like they're going to go like 4 or 5 for like 5.3, 5.4, and we got Nichushkin for a number of years, a handful of years.
I feel like it dictates on term. If he takes 5, go 6 years. If he goes 6 mil, 5 years.
Okay, so if he goes, you think they'd go up to $6 million if they go out to 5 years for it? You
I
think
don't
so?
see, yeah.
I think 6 is high for that. I don't think they want to go that high for him. I don't like that's more than doubling his salary from last year. Is he worth it? Yeah. I mean, and this is where the goalie thing comes into play. You saved a little
Mhm.
bit of money here by what you've done with the goalie
You could
situation.
probably
So
talk him back to that 5, but I would not be hurt if they announce a $6 million deal, but the term has to be there. If it's 6 by 4, we got problems.
no, it's not going to be that. No,
Yeah.
it's not that at all. I think this is almost like the Philip Grubauer situation where there's going to be another team out there that offers him like $500,000 more, and he stays. I feel like he stays here because he's comfortable with the Avs. He's appreciative of the Avs. The money won't be that far off. The term is where it will be. So if they've matched him on the term, and I don't see another team out there just going to go give him a 6 or 7 year deal.
And
I
there's
think
so many,
his I was
like,
going to
you
say I think
got
his
Nas
term is
out there
4 or
and Johnny
5, and
Hockey
he's good,
too.
which we can't afford.
Yeah, so
Can't afford.
that
Yeah,
that kinda softens the blow of, like, losing nukes, so you're still trying to be like, "Hey, they're going after Nas, they're going after Johnny Hockey, there's so many free agents that they're gonna pay. Stay with us," and you could probably talk him down a little bit.
maybe. Maybe, but I in the end, I guess my guess would be 5 years for 5.4. I'll say that would be my final answer. All right,
Just because I like things neat, give him a 5 by 5.
all right. And Arturri Lehkonen, guy we got obviously at the trade deadline, quickly becoming one of my favorites on the
Mhm.
Avs. Great player to watch. This will be another interesting one. He's restricted. What's his age? Um, he is 27 right now. So okay, so next year he would be if they did a 1 year deal, he'd be unrestricted next year. Okay. So what do you got for him? This could be an interesting one right here.
I feel he's every bit as valuable as Nichushkin,
Mhm.
but I would settle in 4 or 5, where I was saying 5 for 6 for Nuke,
Mhm.
and if we can land, like, 4.5 for another 4 years, that feels good.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I I don't know, like I don't know him in terms of how we're talking about like Val Nichushkin. Like we've come to know Val Nichushkin and how
Mhm.
like appreciative he is, and just like his calm demeanor. And obviously he wants to make money, but I just feel like he has like loyalty to the Avs.
Yeah,
I don't know that much about Arturi Lehkonen and his like mindset and stuff like that. But, he just won a championship here. So
yeah,
why would you not want to stay here? Um, and he's restricted, so someone would have to throw in an offer for him and that the Avs couldn't match. But I just feel like that'd be another interesting thing. Would another team out there try to to throw an offer out to him and force the Avalanche to match it. It's always possible.
Montreal.
Yeah, to try to get him back. Imagine that. They might be a little bit strapped right now. They did a lot of wheeling and dealing, so I don't know what their cap situation is, but I don't know if they'd be able to do it. But I think Lehkonen is going to be kind of similar to. Oh, he's going to be less than Nichushkin, but he's going to be in that range where I said like Nichushkin was 5.4. I think Lehkonen is going to be like just shy of 5, maybe like 4.8,
4.7.
4.9 in that area for another guy that you want to do like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So
I just honestly, I wish we had him for a full season, and this would be so much easier. Like you're basing this off really when the Avs really put it together, and I
mhm,
just really wish I could watch Lehkonen from wire to wire with this team.
mhm. And we'll see what happens with Kadri. I don't know if that might have something to do with how they deal with Lehkonen. It might,
Yeah,
because he might need to slide into a different role. Not that he's like the role of Nazem Kadri, but I guess in terms of they just need to. He's going to have more weight on his shoulders. So they maybe get a little aggressive in how much they offer him to make sure they lock him up for a handful of years.
which
I don't
makes you
know.
wonder why McDonald and Cogs were one of the earlier signings that we already went
Yeah,
ahead and got taken care of. Like, what is really going on with the Nas talks?
I don't know. You don't. That's one thing you're not hearing. We hear Nichushkin, we hear Burakovsky. We're not
Nathan
really hearing
MacKinnon.
much. McKinnon. We're not really hearing much on Nazem Kadri right now. So I feel like he's just going to the market and seeing what he can do, and that's his
Yep.
right. All right, let's hear from BetOnline quick, and then we have 2 grades to get to. BetOnline is number one source for all of your betting sports needs and info. You can find all the latest developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, including live betting in esports. It remains the best spot for your sports scores, podcasts, and news for this season, and even including MMA, boxing, and golf. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline.net. It's where the game starts. All right, 2 grades to get to. Just the way the week worked. We had 2 that we put up and people voted, and we are casting our votes as well. One is for Bowen Byram, and the other is Andrew Cogliano. And we do this alphabetically, so we will start with Bo Byram. I know both Twitter, let me get to the grades here. Both Twitter and Instagram both gave Byram an A. 56% on Twitter and 55% on Instagram. It's a pretty close vote there, kind of in unison. What'd you give him?
I gave Bo Byram got an A minus from me.
Mhm.
Would have got a really high B plus. Like he's right there, but everything he overcame from going from getting ready to walk away from hockey to Stanley Cup champion, like, and his production, he was very visible in the playoffs. Um, he got he got an A minus for that last little push.
I mean, this is a guy who hit what he did in the playoffs bumped him up almost.
Mhm.
I'm going to say like a full letter grade for me, and I gave him a B plus. So if you're just going off of his regular season, I'd probably give him a C plus,
Yeah,
and not by really any fault of his own. All of those injuries and things like that, like he played 30 regular season games. He had 5 in the regular season. He had 5 goals. Let me see what he had: 5 goals and 12 assists. And then in the postseason, oddly enough, in the playoffs, he didn't score a goal, but he had
he was
9 assists.
yeah, he was
So,
very visible, very visible.
but that's the thing. Like, you can't just base this on stats and numbers. I mean, he was one of the most reliable defensemen for the Avs in the playoffs.
Mhm.
So the goals and stuff, I feel like those will come. He's a little bit gun shy when it comes. Like he holds onto the puck for a split second too long, and that split second lets defenders get into his shooting lane. So he's got to kind of maybe like anticipate the puck getting on his stick a little bit quicker and just fire it. And I
Yep.
think like he will, the goals will come like, 9 assists in the playoff. That's really good. That almost, what do you have in the regular season? 17, I said. Yeah, I think, let me go there real quick. Regular season. No, I'm sorry. He had 12. So he almost matched his assists output just in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He almost matched the regular season. So, and with all the injuries and stuff like that during the one injury that just kept rearing its ugly head, um, he just couldn't get to where he wanted to get to in the regular season. So it's not I wouldn't give him a C plus by any of his faults. It's just, it wasn't, he just couldn't get into any flow. And then he did in the postseason, and you saw it. So because of that postseason, for me, he goes from a C plus to a B plus.
And I said multiple times during the Locked On Avalanche Twitter Spaces that I cannot wait to see this playoff Bo Byram go through a training camp and then
Mm.
attack a regular season.
Yeah, I mean, next year is going to be a fantastic year for him. Like, there's every
Oh,
reason to believe
I
like
can't wait.
he's gonna take that next step. And that defensive core, that defensive unit, those multiple defensive units that we've been talking about now, I think is gonna just go for broke next year. It's gonna
Yeah.
be sick. So that's Bo Byram, and then we did Andrew Cogliano. Very interesting on socials. I think people are loving the fact that the Avs won the Stanley Cup, and there's been people who've commented that said like everybody gets an A. Like, we win the cup, everyone gets an A. Okay, but on Twitter they did give Andrew Cogliano an A. It was close. The 50% of the vote gave him an A, and I think it was 48% gave him a B. And then on Instagram, it was 48% did give him a B. And an A, I think, was like 47%. Like, it was really, really close on Instagram. But Twitter gives him an A, Instagram gives him a B. What do you got for Andrew Cogliano?
He is a C plus
Mm-hmm.
definition. He does not get you into trouble. He does not get you out of trouble. Um, he does his role and goes home.
Right.
It's telling that you still see number 11 and you still have a fondness for Matt Calvert.
Yeah.
Until he could take over the number and make it his own, he's a C plus, like a passing grade.
Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with a C plus. And that's exactly what I gave him. And again, I think this is something the playoffs maybe bumped him up a little bit more for me. Because in the regular season, 18 games with Colorado since the trade, and he had a sole assist in all of those 18 games. So again, it's not his game to be a stat machine. But playing on this team, you're kind of given more opportunity. You would like to see more than one assist come through, but he does more than that. He does a
Mhm.
lot more than that. He's that gritty player that you love to have on the team, and they, re-sign him, and I love having him back for next year. He's going to be a big part of the team, especially those depth players. But in the playoffs, a little bit better. In 16 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. So I think that's just rising to the occasion. That's being a little bit more comfortable in the system. You had to do like a crash course in the system. You got 18 games on your belt in the regular season, and you go to town in the playoffs, and you do a little bit better in the playoffs in terms of production wise, point wise. But what he does outside of that is perfect for this team. Absolutely perfect for this team. So and yeah, I think he's, like you said, he's the definition of a guy who does what he's supposed to do, does what he's asked, and for this team, that's a C plus for me.
And I'm excited to see what he does. Another player that I'm excited to see when they come out of camp, really refined and fresh and ready for a new season.
Correct. Who do we got next? This will go up tomorrow. Oh, I just
Would
lost
that
it.
be Jimothy
Uh,
Timothy?
I think you're right. Yes, JT Confer is next. So and there we go again. Regular season and postseason. What's his end of the
Ooh,
complete season grade going to be? That's a little bit tougher one. I gotta
you
look into
you
the stats
you
here.
want to talk about somebody I fell in love with in the playoffs? My goodness.
Yeah. He rose to the occasion. It's what you got to do. You need players like him to do that. So, all right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, this will probably be our only full length episode of the week, but because it's free agency week and if the Avs are involved in anything, we will be putting up, clips and things like that of our thoughts on what the Avs are doing or are not doing. So, follow us on our social media pages to keep up with all of that fun stuff. All right, everybody. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we will see you guys later on.